You're doing whiskey all wrong.
What was that?
Christopher Walken.
Oh my gosh.
You're doing whiskey all wrong. We're going to talk about it.
Okay. Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Erin.
I'm Josh, and we want to welcome you to our Tuesday topical videos, our Topical Tuesday videos.
Yeah. Or Tuesday Topical Tuesday.
It works both ways.
Yeah.
We like to bring up conversations here as far as doing whiskey all wrong. We think there are some misconceptions that we want to bust in the whiskey space. In the Whiskey 2 space, they might even lead you to stop watching our channel.
Oh,
but
that's a hot take.
we want to put this out there because we think it's important. We think there's a lot of things that are unspoken that you don't learn until you're further down the rabbit hole of whiskey nerddom, whiskey enthusiasm, and all that stuff. So we're going to talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it.
And I think the first thing we need to talk about is that people are more important than bottles. Because bottles come and go. And when you get new into whiskey and you're really excited, the main focus is on the bottles. You're after the next thing.
Acquiring the next cool thing or the bottle or whatever.
And I get it. It's exciting. You know, you want to get this, you want to get that, you want to try this, you want to try that. All the cool stuff we've ever been able to try have been because of the local bourbon community that I've gotten plugged into, gone to bottle shares, or through our Patreon community where people share samples all the time. Which you can find that in the video description below if you're interested in getting plugged in over there, barrel picks and stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, all the cool stuff I've ever been able to try hasn't been by going to stores. It's been by investing in relationships and other people in the community.
You've gotten to try a lot of cool bottles because of your relationships with people.
Right.
Because we've built relationships with people, not store owners, like other whiskey enthusiasts, people.
And I've gotten some cool bottles from that, but it pales in comparison. It's probably 10 or 20 to 1 as far as cool bottles that I've been able to try. And this was even before we started this channel. Just going to local bottle shares with bourbon groups or people getting involved in our Patreon and trading samples and things like that. You know, you're for sure going to have a bottle that somebody else wants to try or that you can trade samples or somebody, you know, you want to try something and somebody has it and they're generous and they're going to share it with you. So that to me, I think being years down the road in the bourbon hobby, I wish I would have known to invest my time, effort, and energy in building relationships and being generous and sharing the cool things that I get with others.
And by building relationships, you mean building relationships with other people in the community.
Right. Hunting is fine if that's your thing. It's not mine, but if that's your thing, hunting is fine. Going to stores and building relationships is cool, and you can get some good stuff that way. But by far, I think the best way to experience a wide range of whiskey and really cool stuff and have something that's going to stick far longer than the bottles ever do is going to be the relationships
the people
you build
meet
within the community.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Second way you're messing up, not to call you out, but it's not getting on ZBiotics, today's video sponsor. This made perfect sense because we love this stuff. It's a pre-alcohol probiotic that you drink before drinking. It's as simple as that. And you wake up feeling good the next morning, 100%.
It helps do things on the gut level before you drink that is necessary to help you feel better the next day.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how the science works. That's my scientific explanation.
Yeah. It's on their website. You can check it out. And that's in the video description below, or you can go to it right here or scan the QR code up here. But ZBiotics is awesome. They've been a sponsor of the channel and one of our very few sponsors because we do not have anybody that we partner with at all unless we 1000% believe in the product.
Yep.
We were skeptics turned believers. We thought, how good could it really be? But it turns out it's really good. And it keeps me feeling good when my 5 a.m. alarm goes off the next day after we've been recording some videos and I have to get up and go to work. ZBiotics keeps me at my best. It more than pays for itself. We are subscribers ourselves. And as a bonus tip, as a subscriber, if you're a new subscriber and you use our code, those stack on top of each other and you get even more money off. That's how you can save some money on this stuff. But it more than pays for itself. We love ZBiotics. Whiskey is a hobby that can bite you if you're not careful. We always urge people to drink responsibly, and ZBiotics helps with that, keeps you feeling your best. So we are sorry we didn't learn about this stuff earlier in our channel history. It could have saved us a lot of heartache. So,
for at least the first year and a half.
Yes. So check out ZBiotics. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this. Thank you for making a great product that we can stand behind.
Absolutely.
So let's get back to the whiskey.
Okay.
whiskey is not objective. So when you're looking at lists, you're looking at, you know, so-and-so said this, or you solicit questions. Let's say you're not involved in our Patreon and our Discord community where you can actually get good, helpful feedback, and you're just over on Facebook and you just say, what's a good whiskey for $40? And people just pepper you with a bunch of opinions with absolutely zero context.
As to why they're saying what they're saying. Yeah.
You have no clue what they like. It's impossible to know if their recommendation is good or not for your palate. You didn't tell them what you liked. They didn't tell you what they liked. There is no objectivity at all to be found in this whatsoever. It is a completely subjective exchange of information, or you're looking at a list on, not to call out Uprocks, but recently I saw an Uprocks list of like the 20 whatever best bourbons or whatever it was, and those don't have any merit unless you put things in context.
So like, why are these the 20 best?
Exactly.
Okay.
Why? And I don't know, maybe it's advertising dollars that are paying them to say that. You know, Uprocks is a much bigger operation. I don't know what their ethics are as far as like us. We only work with Zbotics because we believe in that product. I don't know if Uprocks is a pay-for-play platform, not to call them out specifically, but a lot of Whiskey Advocate, a lot of these platforms do these types of lists. Please don't go on those unless they have context as to why it's a good thing for you.
And I think that's what a lot of like whiskey tube channels try to provide is if they say something that they like it, they'll kind of try to tell you why. Like we try to do that. We try to tell you why we like something or don't like something. Right. So that way you can be like, oh, okay, I generally do like sweet things and Aaron's saying this is sweet, so maybe I will like this.
Right.
Things like that.
Right. I generally lean towards sweet bourbon. Can be a little unbalanced, a little spicy, a little kick you in the pants. Whereas you like rye more than bourbons.
I like a little more
earthiness,
a little more well-roundedness. I don't like the punch. So things like that. So listen to the why and don't just take a list at face value. If there's no why something is ranked at what it is, then move on and try to find something else.
Right. And to that point, if you really, really, really like something and someone else says they don't like that, you didn't make the whiskey. Please don't take it personally.
I don't like cilantro. Are you going to come at me for that?
Well, that's a gene thing.
Whiskey might be a gene thing. We don't know.
Well, that's true. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah, we don't know.
But I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Well, this is funny to me because I wanted to bring this point up because this doesn't seem to happen in other spheres of taste as much as I see it in whiskey. Like it kind of does a little bit, but it feels more joking in other spaces.
Gotcha.
Like
in what other spaces? Like in shoes? Is this in the shoe?
Let's just say music.
Okay, music.
Let's say music or food. You know, I like black coffee. Let's go there. Okay. I like black coffee. There are other people who can't stand black coffee. There are other people who can only do cream and sugar. There's some people who can do cream, no sugar. Some people do sugar, no cream.
Yeah.
I don't like any of that, but that doesn't mean the way they drink coffee is wrong. However, in the whiskey space, it just seems like everybody gets up in arms and treats each other poorly when that's just as silly as like ridiculing somebody for liking black coffee or liking cream in their coffee.
For example, on our channel, you'll see us pretty much exclusively drink things neat.
Right.
We do it that way because we like to drink it that way, not because it's the right way. A lot of people like to drink things on ice. And if you like to drink things on ice, that's the right way for you. And there's no shame in doing that. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not drinking whiskey wrong by putting it on ice.
But how wild would it be if you were drinking a hot coffee somewhere and someone came up to you and said, why are you drinking that coffee hot? You're crazy. You should only drink coffee on ice.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Or if you were drinking an iced coffee, somebody came up to you and said, hold on, coffee should only be hot. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? And that, to me, that's a little bit of, I don't know if it's a pet peeve or whatever, but it's just expecting other people's taste to align with your own or expecting your taste to align with other people's. Everything is contextual. Everything is subjective. So every chance we get, we try to highlight that. And this video is a really good opportunity, to highlight that statement. And we want to, anytime we can speak to why we like something, we want to do that.
For example, I like room temperature water.
And
Josh
I like
does
cold.
not.
I hate room temperature water. I love cold water, but I don't like iced coffee all that much. I like hot coffee.
Yeah. Okay. We're.
Anyways, we're belaboring.
I'm just saying, like, this is a really good point to be made, though. And in other aspects, it's not that big of a deal. But for whatever reason, in whiskey, people seem to get all their panties in a wad over things.
Yeah, don't get your panties in a wad.
Don't get your panties in a twist.
You like pop music. I like crazy stuff. I like old country and metal and worship music and old school 90s and 2000s backpack hip hop.
I like some soul music too.
You
not
do.
Gonna lie.
You do.
I like a little soul.
Our kind of middle ground is our intro music.
Yeah.
That baby making jazz.
I like some baby making music.
Yeah. Also, you've been messing up with whiskey. Let's get back to the point.
Okay.
In that you can't say something definitively about whiskey because whiskey changes over time. Mm-hmm.
Even the same brand, like
same bottle.
Wild Turkey 101 from 2000 will taste different than Wild Turkey 101 from 2023.
Yeah. And if you want to test it, buy a bottle of something now and then wait a few years and buy the same bottle again a few years later. And what you're going to find out is that all these distilleries are just taking a whole bunch of whiskey barrels. They're dumping them in a big vat. They're bottling those, and what you get is what you get.
They're mixing
and you don't fuss a bit.
They're mixing to a profile, but I think we have a video where we talk about like the water was different 10 years ago than it is now. So even if they're doing the major distilleries doing the exact same process with the exact same things, the components themselves are not exactly the same as they were a few years ago.
Last summer was hotter or cooler than this summer. Last winter was hotter or cooler than this winter. The wood that they used to make the barrels, maybe some of the wood came from, Georgia and other wood came from Arizona.
So whiskey making is definitely an art and not a science. Yeah. And it is such a well done art that sometimes people can mistake it for a science, but it's not.
Yeah. And they do use science to make whiskey, but to the point, like in my mind, you have two different types of products in the whiskey space. You have batched or blended products, and then you have single barrels. And most things will fall into one of those two categories. If it's a batch or a blend, like Wild Turkey 101 or Buffalo Trace, or for instance, in the Buffalo Trace's portfolio is E.H. Taylor bottled in bond.
Okay.
To be bottled in bond, you have to be from the same distillation season, January to June, I believe, or July to December, in a calendar year from a federally bonded warehouse. So you're pulling barrels from that warehouse, from that season, that exact same bottled in bond product, the next year is going to be different barrels
because seasons
that have gone through
will be different.
One different season of climate and are housed in different barrels. That product is going to change. Rare breed. We love rare breed. Rare breed has changed over the last few years. It's called flavor drift or batch drift. It happens in everything, or if you're talking about single barrels.
And that's a normal thing. It's not, nothing is happening that's wrong.
Right.
Like it's just a natural process of
it's impossible
of life, I think.
Yeah, it's impossible to replicate whiskey even within the same label. One-to-one over time. You can't clone the whiskey. They're just trying to get it close. I want to make a point about single barrels because those are my favorite products because of the variability and the uniqueness of them, and they only yield 150, 200 bottles or so per barrel. And so you're really working with a very unique product when you're tasting a single barrel product. People talk about sister barrels. I've been in rick houses doing barrel picks. I've tasted two barrels that sit side by side of each other, same distillate, put into the wood at the same time, exposed to the same climates for the same period. Everything is identical and they taste wildly different. Sometimes they taste somewhat similar, but oftentimes they taste wildly different because of the wood or, just there's so many factors that go into it. So speaking objectively or trying to speak objectively about whiskey is a fool's folly or something. I don't know. It seems misleading.
I think you can only speak to what you're getting out of a glass of whiskey. You can't objectively say this is true across the board, I think, in most instances. But you can speak to your truth about it. Like when I drink Stag Junior Batch 17, I can say objectively that I do not like it. Right.
But you had other batches of Stag Junior that you do like.
But you do like it.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Which to the next point, just as a little bit of encouragement and to borrow some wise words from a sage from some point in time that said, to thine own heart be true, but to thine own palate be true. Or trust your gut or trust your palate.
Yeah.
Or what you're tasting.
What your number one rule in life is, know thyself.
Right. Well, and that will lead into our last point, know thyself.
Oh, okay.
But I just want to tell you, it doesn't matter if I like something. It doesn't matter if Aaron likes something. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah.
But also don't write it off because you tasted it one time and didn't like it. Revisit it a couple of other times. to get an idea
because
your palate changes day to day as well.
Your palate changes. I can attest to that because if you watch videos from when we started the channel to where I am now, as far as my palate, I am able to drink higher proof whiskeys and enjoy them a lot more than I was early on. I think I've honed in on certain flavor profiles that I do like versus things I don't like, which I didn't know like when we first started the channel because I didn't drink as much whiskey. So I do think there is something to be said for giving things a second chance or trying things over time. If you have a bottle and you open it and you're like, ooh, I don't love this, let it sit for a bit. Try it again in like 6 weeks, see what you think. You know, maybe your palate's different that day. Maybe you've tried other things in the interim that have kind of acclimated your palate to a specific flavor profile that now that bottle tastes good to you. That's what's happened to me, I think. So don't just write something off, but you can start to learn there are certain flavors you like or certain flavors you tend to lean towards or certain flavors you tend to lean against. But a specific product, I would give it a few shots before you say you specifically don't like it. Like I would give Stag Junior Batch 17 another shot if I ever had an opportunity to drink it. I don't think I will, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. But if I had it, I would drink it.
Right. Now, and this is a good point. So combine that you just said, your palate changing day to day, your mood. I always say like sometimes you're in the mood for tacos and pizza is not going to do. Sometimes you're in the mood for pizza and tacos won't do. They're both awesome. You know,
objectively they are.
Objectively, I love sushi, but there's plenty of times where I'm not in the mood for sushi. You know, so your palate changes day to day. What you like can vary day to day, and when you combine that with the fact that whiskey itself as a product changes over time, or single barrels differ, it's really difficult to objectively say that something is bad. Or honestly, it can be difficult to say if something is objectively good too, because we might say something is really good. We might have had
you can say you don't like it,
a batch of rare breed.
Say it's bad, maybe pushing it.
But we might have had a batch of rare breed 2 years ago that knocked our socks off, and now our current bottle of rare breed might taste a little bright and brash for us.
Which is a true statement. Which is what is happening.
Right. And that things just change over time. Yeah. So don't hold anything too strongly. You know, that's our whole point. Going back to the first point, people are more important than bottles. Bottles are going to change. They're going to come and go. The relationships in the community and what this hobby can offer you in that way. Whiskey can unite people. So embrace that unity that it can provide rather than feeding into the division that it can create.
Absolutely.
I think that's our biggest point.
That's the best thing. I think we can end the video now.
Well,
you just said like mic drop.
True, but also you might want to stop watching our channel, because if you watch for a while, to your own palate be true, to thine own palate be true, learn the people that you're watching, learn the channels that you're watching, learn what they like and what they don't like, and then use that as a touch point to inform what you might like or not like. If you like sweet, classic Kentucky style bourbon and a lot of power behind your pour, you're probably going to like what I like. If you like something that's a little bit more balanced and or easy sipping, something that's a little bit more earthy, you might like things that Aaron likes.
A little less sweet. I don't like things super sweet.
Get this. Let's say we're drinking something that's lower proof or more balanced, but it's also really sweet. You might say, I really like the balance on this, but it's too sweet for me. And I might say, I like this sweetness, but it's a little bit flat and boring for me. Well, now you know if you like sweet and balanced and easy drinking. We just described the perfect bottle to you, even though we both had critiques on that product. We just described exactly what you need to be looking for. Like, you know? So get to know the palates. And even if that means getting to know our palates and realizing that you don't align and you maybe need to stop watching our channel, so be it. Everything on the Whiskey Tube space is probably entertainment first and informative second. But if you're really tuned in and listening to the why behind why people say they do or don't like something, you can really garner a lot of information for your own palate if you can kind of connect those dots.
Yeah.
Active listening.
Active listening to the why, not just, oh, this is good, or, oh, I like this. Ask, why do you like this? Or listen for, why do they like this if they say.
Right. Hopefully this video will help you avoid some of the pitfalls that are out there when you're getting started on your whiskey journey. I know if I would have actually heard this video and internalized it years ago, I probably would have saved myself thousands of dollars. hundreds of hours of bottle hunting.
Potentially.
And I probably would have had better friendships earlier in this, arc of my whiskey journey.
Better late than never, though.
Exactly. You can teach an old dog new tricks.
You can.
Yeah. But hopefully this was helpful. If you liked it, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We do these conversational topics every week on Tuesdays over here. And hit the bell. Join us for a live stream. We can have more in-depth conversations like this over on one of those.
And we can interact with you more on a live stream, which is one of my favorite parts.
It's a two-way street. Again, check our Patreon out if you want to. We've got one of the best dang whiskey the best. I don't want to short sell it. We have the best whiskey community in the history of the world, I'll say. I will be as bold to say that because I love the people that are part of our Patreon community and active on our Discord.
Yep.
Get involved if you want to be. If the things we've said here resonate with you and you like our stance, good people and good whiskey, if you like that.
Good people first, then you have good whiskey with.
Exactly. That's what our Patreon is all about. And we got some apparel, shirts and such.
Yeah.
Over there, we've got a Good People, Good Whiskey shirt. I'm not wearing it right now because we don't have it in just yet. By the time you see this video, hopefully it's on the shop. You can check it out. And that's going to be it for this one.
Yep. Till next time.
As we always say,
be good to each other.
And drink good whiskey.
Cheers.
Cheers. I've been practicing that. I think I overdid it, but that's what I do, right? You're doing whiskey all wrong. You're doing whiskey all wrong. You're doing whiskey all wrong.
Your eyes were like...